Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Fortnite In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Suppressed SMG, which is, in my opinion, by far the worst gun in the game. And if you can't already tell, this episode's going to be much more opinionated than usual. However, I do like to substantiate my opinion with facts. I like for it to at least be an educated opinion. So instead of just complaining about the gun, I'm going to talk about why I think it's underpowered, why I don't think you should be using it very much, and prayers if anybody from Epic Games watches this video, why I think the Suppressed SMG needs to be retooled a bit or perhaps put back in the vault. So let's start off with the thing that pretty much all of you that play Fortnite are going to know about this weapon, and that's the fact that it doesn't deal very much damage. A gray Suppressed SMG will deal 17 damage to the body, a green one is 18 to the body, and a blue one is only 19 damage to the body, which isn't very high. If you're hitting headshots, it used to be 2.5, but after the first shot's accuracy update changed that, it got scaled down, which I do consider to be an overall nerf, so it's 2x now, and the gray submachine gun now only deals 34 damage for a headshot, green 36 for a headshot, and blue 38 for a headshot, which is not very much damage at all, especially considering other weapons might deal 72, or if a shotgun insta-kill you for the headshot or something like that. When you're talking about long range, because this is a weapon that gets the first shot accuracy, and because it is just a simple hit scan weapon, it gets a penalty for being used at long ranges. And of note, as it is defined, the long range is shorter on this weapon than any other weapon in the game, so these numbers will come into effect more often than, say, for suppressed pistols or for rifles. A long range hit with the gray submachine gun would deal only 11 damage. That would mean you need to shoot somebody like 9 times to kill them with this gun. 22 for a headshot, or green would be 12 and blue would be 13 respectively. So not very much damage at all coming in here. The reward for getting headshots or any shots at long ranges isn't very much with this particular weapon, and I would kind of advise against doing it at long range. So what this is going to mean for your shots to kill, which we're going to use our no skin target dummy here for, is that if you run into an opponent that just has a normal 100 health, we'll just imagine you both landed at Pleasant Park and you're running around and you picked up the suppressed submachine gun, nobody has shields or anything, it'll still take 3 headshots to kill, or up to 6 shots for the body, which is 20% of your magazine, and that is a lot of shots. If you have the blue suppressed submachine gun, it's still 3 shots to kill or 6 shots to the body, and this amount of shots to kill only becomes more problematic as you scale up the health. At 150 health, it's more, and if you run into an enemy that for whatever reason has a full 200 health or a full 100 shield, 100 health, it could take 6 headshots with the gray suppressed submachine gun to kill, or 12 body shots. That's almost half of a magazine. Even with the blue suppressed submachine gun, it's still 6 headshots and 11 body shots to kill. As you've noticed, the tiers on these weapons don't make very much difference. You're really not saving yourself much time or damage or DPS or hardly anything by upgrading tiers. When it comes to damage to buildings, not very impressive there either, but that makes sense because the bullets are light. Technically, the tactical submachine gun deals less damage to buildings at 17 per shot. This one's a little better at 19, and auto rifles at 33. By this metric, it's very clear that you don't want to try to break a lot of buildings with your suppressed SMG. Not a lot of people utilize their light ammo, either for miniguns or the TAC SMG or for pistols, so if you do end up carrying this one, you may have a lot of leftover ammo, and I suppose if you're not afraid of getting sniped, it doesn't hurt to just spam the building, but your rifle or a minigun or a pistol or really even the tactical SMG with its much higher rate of fire will do a better job at breaking bases than the suppressed submachine gun. When it comes to rate of fire, the tactical SMG reigns supreme in this game at 720 RPM. The suppressed SMG isn't too bad at 540 rounds per minute, and that is better than the auto rifle at 330, auto rifles being SCARs and M4s. It's comfortably between the two, but as you will see on the next page when it comes to DPS, that doesn't quite make up for it. The suppressed submachine gun DPS is 153 for gray, 162 for green, and 171 for blue. The best comparison I can make to help quantify this in your head is that a blue suppressed submachine gun has about the same DPS as a gray assault rifle, M16, M4, whatever you want to call it. So the gray assault rifle is roughly equivalent to the blue suppressed submachine gun, and in my book, that's not very impressive because those guns are kind of like M&Ms. They're just all over the map. They're the most plain Jane, basic, low damage candy that there is anywhere, and I'm not super happy with the DPS. And I'm not super happy with the damage or the shots they kill. They're all pretty bad, unfortunately. I wish I could tell you this weapon had a super secret, awesome thing that you could do with it, and it's amazing if you just do this one cool little trick. Because I do in-depth for a living. I do a lot of guides, I study a lot of guns, and I learn a lot of tricks, and there's some more unusual strategies that work, even though they don't work all the time. But for this weapon, there's not a lot of strategies that truly work. When it comes to reload times, the gray, green, and blue all reload at about 2 seconds, which unfortunately is another detriment because of the amount of shots to kill and how you're going to dump an entire magazine. You're almost certainly going to have to reload once or perhaps twice in a gunfight, which means you have a lot of downtime. The hipfire bloom is just wide enough to miss some close quarter shots. It's not tight like the tactical submachine gun, where I can do a lot of good work with good tracking, and it also doesn't fire quite fast enough like the TAC SMG to where I can kind of swipe over people and wiggle back and forth and get some guaranteed hits. It's wide enough to miss people relatively close, and it shoots just slow enough where people can walk in between bullets, which makes it very uncomfortable. And the hipfire bloom is definitely wide enough to be useless at long range. Now there is a caveat to that with the first shot's accuracy, you can either stand still or crouch still and get that guaranteed first shot perfect hit scan at any range, and that'll make this a better gun for that first shot. But you really have to be getting headshots to make that count. And you also have to be not moving or in a nice position in order to do that on enemies that could have rifles and deal a lot more damage to you, or shotguns that could turn around and insta-kill you. So with this particular weapon, whether you're doing the first shot's accuracy or just kind of running around hip firing people or over the shoulder firing people, which that'll be mostly what you do with it, and I don't think that that's why the first shots helped it very much, you pretty much have to get headshots to have a chance in most gunfights. If you don't open up your gunfight, or at least finish it with a solid 2 headshots with the suppressed SMG, you have no chance of winning. The rifles will outgun you, the shotguns will outgun you, the pistols will outgun you. Personally, I'm just about as comfortable with a revolver as I am with this weapon. You utterly have to get headshots with this gun for it to count, which means getting very, very close, or kind of staying far away and doing first shots. But if you're going to stay far away, you do get the benefit of it being a silenced weapon, which in this game means that it makes almost no noise. It makes a little bit for you, but for the enemies, it's almost inaudible, and you get no tracer round, which is the biggest benefit. They don't see where your shots are coming from, and you can sit there and pepper people all day and they'll get confused. Unfortunately, I don't believe that benefit of the weapon being suppressed is worth trading everything else for, because you have to trade your accuracy, you have to trade your reload, you have to trade your damage, you have to trade your DPS, you have to trade in your rate of fire, and what you get in return is a quiet bullet and no trace round. Perhaps in other games like PUBG or Call of Duty that would be fantastic, but Fortnite isn't really a stealthy game, so you can't hide much with the suppressor. This game is built to reward aggressive and at least moderately aggressive play and good builders. It doesn't reward people that hide in bushes, and you can't hide in a fort because your fort's out in the middle of nowhere obvious. There's not foliage to hide behind, there's no stealthy skins, and the suppressor at best gives you a couple of extra shots to confuse an enemy with instead of properly hiding, so I don't think it's much of a benefit. And those are the reasons I think that you should only use the suppressed SMG as a weapon of last resort. It is unfortunately not a good weapon for close quarters combat. It's not a good weapon for long range. Fortnite really isn't a stealth game, so you can't stealth with it too much, and it doesn't have very much use other than if you land and there's nothing else available, I guess it'll work against an enemy that doesn't have very much health. Guys, that's all for this episode of In Depth. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful, and if you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.